What's your view of this then? Are these protesters just annoying, or are they informing and making a point? 0345 6060 973. And let's bring in Tom Burke, who's chairman and founding director of E3G, experts on climate diplomacy and energy policy. He's a former government advisor on climate change as well. Hello, Tom.
Good evening, Clyde.
So are these protesters, are they just plain annoying, or are they doing a good job?
Well, they're doing a good job of getting people's attention, which is what they're trying to do, and they've clearly got Peter Blakely's attention.
Yes.
And they're drawing attention to the fact that we're not doing enough to deal with the problem that if we don't solve it, will cost an awful lot more disruption and engage an awful lot more of the police's time. So I think they are doing a good job of drawing attention to the fact that we need to move faster to deal with this problem.
Do you need to break the law, though?
Well, they judge you can. What you do need to do is protest, I think, and I think they accept that if you break the law, you should pay the consequences. So that's their judgment, their decision. Their view, and I understand their impatience and their frustration, is that unless you do that, you don't get the attention of politicians. As they say constantly to the police and to the public, they're apologising for the disruption they caused, but they feel that's necessary to get the politicians to do more than they're currently doing.
And when you say do more, a lot of people call me and say, well, I'm already doing it. You know, I'm recycling, I'm driving less, I'm eating a bit less meat. What more do you want?
Well, I think they're absolutely right in the sense the public is very much on their side and the public is doing things. So this is about, as I was said, this is about what the politicians do. Look, of all of the fossil fuels that we burn, 60 to 70% of it ends up as waste heat. That's because we don't spend any money on improving the energy efficiency of our buildings. If we did that, we'd not only be cutting our carbon emissions, we'd also be reducing fuel poverty and getting people's energy bills down. Now, that's a political failure.
I think one of the problems is that if you do upset and inconvenience a lot of people, they're going to look at you differently, and they're not going to be so much on your side. And there's been quite a big feeling this week, and I've certainly heard people saying it on LBC, that they think these protesters are going over the top. And because they're going over the top, maybe they're exaggerating as well. And that this climate change, yes, it's something to worry about, but it's not quite the emergency they say.
Well, that's a judgment that every one of us has got to make, and they've got to make. I think you're right to the extent that if they push things too far, they will alienate people. But just remember what the cover of the Evening Standard showed just a couple of weeks ago. 85% of people in this country think we need to be doing more on climate change. So, in a sense, I think they've got a better claim to be expressing the will of the people than do most of our politicians.
Well, yes, I'm sure most people would say we've got to do more about climate change. I'm surprised it's not 95%. But how far you go, and I spoke to one of the protesters last weekend who told me that nothing less than zero carbon within 5 years, nothing less than that would mean the destruction of the planet. I mean, that's surely not right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's just completely wrong. Not the first person who's got wound up by a political cause who's been completely wrong about things. But yeah, we can do what the government's said we should do, which is we can get to a carbon neutral energy system by the middle of the century. I think that's a realistic goal. Right. We ought to do it.
That's already our target.
And we probably can.
And if that's already our target, why do we need all this campaigning?
Well, people are entitled to make their view make their judgment about what they think we should be doing. The Extinction Rebellion think we should get to zero carbon by 2025. I don't think that's possible, frankly.
No.
But I can't stop people from making the best judgment they can, even when I think they're wrong. I spent most of my life as an environmentalist trying to get people to realise when they were wrong about things.
And can you just answer one other thing, that a point that's been made to me several times over this issue, and I think it is you must have been faced with this argument before, that whatever we do in the UK, it's not very big in the scheme of things. Why does it matter what we do when you've got huge nations, China, and many others who are doing far more damage than we are.
This is a real cop-out argument, actually. The idea that, we're doing something and nobody else is doing anything simply isn't borne out by the facts. Now, whether other nations are doing enough, I think there's a serious question there. We've got to get other nations to do more. But if you're going to guilt trip it, we've got to remember that we started burning fossil fuels. We started the Industrial Revolution. The carbon we started burning 200 years ago is still up in the atmosphere. So we've got quite a debt to pay off before we can complain about the fact that people are still emitting a bit more than we are.
Tom, great to talk to you. Thank you very much. Tom Burke joining us there from E3G. More calls on this in just a moment.